Okay, so what does cocaine do in the brain? Where is its site of drug action? Well, cocaine, it turns out, blocks the reuptake of monoamines. Okay, what does that mean? We got to go through that again, right? So the monoamines, remember, are serotonin, are norepinephrine, and dopamine, right? They're basically neurotransmitters that you release, right, that contain an amino group. So they're derived from amino acids, and they share some structural similarities, right? So let's look at a monoamine presynaptic terminal, right? So here will be our axon terminal with our voltage-gated calcium channels. Here are our vesicles. Here's the vesicular transporter, right, that uses ATP to pack our monoamine, be it serotonin, be it norepinephrine, be it dopamine, into the vesicles. Here it is docked, right, along the presynaptic membrane. Here it is released, presumably upon the arrival of an action potential. So here's a monoamine neurotransmitter out in the synaptic cleft. Here, of course, is one of the mechanisms that's necessary to end the chemical message at the synapse, right? This is our reuptake transporter, our presynaptic reuptake transporter, which takes the monoamine back out of the cleft, where it is then broken down, if you recall, by monoamine oxidase, by MAO, right? So it turns out that cocaine will interact with this reuptake transporter. It comes right into this monoamine reuptake transporter, and it sticks there. And when something binds to something else, it changes shape, right? It'll change shape so that this thing cannot work. It cannot pull the monoamine neurotransmitters out of the clefts, right? If it can't remove the monoamines, think about what happens. Every time there's an action potential that releases dopamine or serotonin or norepinephrine into this cleft, it'll linger, right? It'll linger here and continue to stimulate those postsynaptic receptors. So it increases the availability of these monoamines. Cocaine can do this, quite rapidly as it interacts with these presynaptic reuptake transporters. It turns out, interestingly, that cocaine is associated, of course, with blocking dopamine reuptake, right? And it's really a dopamine issue here. It turns out that it's most effective, actually, at serotonin synapses. It tends to act at the serotonin reuptake transporter more effectively than it does at others. So, however, it's thought that the dopamine transporter blockade is probably most implicated in cocaine sort of stimulating and reinforcing effects. Because remember, dopamine is associated with that locomotor activity, right? Basal ganglia, the nigrostriatal pathway, and also with motivational aspects of engaging with the world. So the mesolimbic and mesocortical networks. So people on cocaine, they're stimulating psychomotor, stimulation is probably more related to its activity at these dopamine reuptake transporters, but it acts at serotonin and norepinephrine too.